to me, or is my king. 2023 election must be about character we can trust.
Yes.
Come on. It must be about competence. It must be about capacity. It must be about capacity to start moving Nigeria in the right direction. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Obi, for your wonderful speech, your warm-hearted, honest, and candid speech. Nigeria loves you. Give Mr. Obi some love, everybody. We're about to start the Q&A session with Professor Patrick Utomi and Mr. Peter Obi. At this time, we're going to call our second moderator, Ms. Tope Kajibesi.
Good evening, Professor Tommy and Mr. Peter Obi. You're welcome to this segment. We got a lot of questions and we'll do our best to ask as many of your questions as we can. But if we don't get to them, you will receive responses if you register for this event. The first question is for you, Mr. Peter Obi. Nigeria is a deeply divided country right now, divided along the lines of ethnicity and religion for the most part. What will you do to be the unifier that Nigeria needs? No, that's the first question for you. Yes, please.
But quite frankly, I agree with you that it's divided along tribal, religion, and everything. But it's not something that is very difficult to unite. Nigerians have shown the capacity to come together when there's anything that gives them hope. Go and watch Nigerians. Go and watch Nigerians when they're playing football.
Yes.
Go and watch Nigerians when somebody is winning even just in sports. Go and see Nigerians when things are working well. All these divisions along ethnic line and religion, I said before, is an elite conspiracy to keep the country where it is today so they can continue to live on the confusion. If we have a good leader today, every country has ethnic problem. Even in America here. Everyone. We don't have more tribes than Indonesia. We don't have more tribes than most countries. But once they see good and exemplary leadership, they will come together. Because if you start providing power today and people are employed, you reduce, the more you put people out of poverty, you start seeing all these things change. It's happened in Brazil, happened in Mexico and everywhere. So we will work hard by creating opportunity where everybody will be invited to the table, live together, love each other, dialogue where even people are agitating, and try to bring everybody together. And I'm sure Prof will add to this as well.
Well, thank you very much. The challenge of Nigerians living together is fundamentally a challenge that comes from the poor structure of the Nigerian Federation. When you have a federalism that allows people to exercise their freedom and grow, people will accommodate one another and all profit from it. And I give you an example. Back in the late 50s, when self-government first came, and the early 60s, Nigerians were found to be competing about who would most bring progress to their people. This phenomenon came to be called competitive communalism. Ethnic nationality groups who were trying to bring the most progress to their people. What has happened is that with the failure of our federalism, people are in a zero-sum game. If you win, it means that I have lost. So in the fight to share, we have become very antagonistic to one another. But if the federal structure allowed everybody to produce adequately, and people are prospering, and that happened in the 50s, there will be less of the kind of tension that is there today. But clearly, politicians who thrive on state capture and who are taking advantage of the confusion will deepen those cleavages so that they can continue to profit from it. And that is what we must, through just good leadership, show people that we have no rules. Because all parts of Nigeria can thrive and everybody can be happy living together.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. I'd like to start the second question with you, Professor Tony. This week, Delta Airlines, just like Emirates, British Airways, announced a significant reduction in service to Nigeria. And they are making a move that will mean that passengers need to purchase tickets online in USD, even though their flights are originating from Nigeria. This is because of the exchange rate crisis. Nigerian Naira is spiraling in free fall. The CBN has a parallel exchange rate that makes young bankers think that the government is sponsoring vacation so they can round trip. What will the Peter Obi administration do to tackle the downward spiral in the Naira?
Well, thank you. Mr. Obi has said repeatedly that what solves that problem is production. Once you begin to produce, and we'll talk about how we produce, you will earn so much from what you are exporting that your currency will be getting very strong. In fact, and indeed, producing and exporting countries don't worry about their exchange rate. Back in the 70s, Japan wanted to have a weak exchange rate position so that their exports will take over the American market as it did back in those days. When the Japanese yen grew so strong and still remarkably when it crossed the 200 mark, came from 200 something to 190, Japanese were almost crying. And the exchange rate was getting stronger because it would affect their exports. But because we don't produce, and we just get whatever comes from crude oil and share and fight, we go into these games with exchange rates. Now, here's the big danger between institutions and markets. You know, for a good part of our history, we depended on the central bank managing a block currency. We didn't have a market for foreign exchange. We got to a point where by 1983, 84, and for younger people, it's important to learn this lesson because we forget school very quickly. Nigeria could not pay its due bills, exactly what's happening with the airlines today. And we had to so ration foreign exchange that it was almost a crime to be found with $100 in Nigeria. It was not almost, it was a crime.
Yes.
I was going to Zimbabwe in 1984. I had to fly to London to get money to fly back to Zimbabwe. Because if I left Nigeria with $200, I would go to jail. And we came down to where Venezuela gets to always very quickly. We were queuing up to buy milk, to buy sugar. It was called essential commodities. And we actually set up a company called the Nigerian National Supply Company to bring these things in. After the pain of that season, we learned a few things and began to try to build markets. One of the biggest market building challenges we had was building a foreign exchange market. And so, various iterations went to a two-tier foreign exchange market. We all remember SPEN.
Yes.
And then we kept getting better, institutions kept getting strengthened until we had a running foreign exchange market. Markets are a function of the strength of the institutions that support them. What happens? About 6 years ago, we began a dangerous reversal of those gains.
Yeah.
We began to have multiple exchange rates. Those multiple exchange rates essentially just allowed people with access to power to take money at this rate, round trip it, make more money, and indolence crept into the system. Today we've broken that market. It will take us a lot to rebuild this market that gave us, the possibilities of growth over these last couple of years. But it will and can be done. All you need is to have regulators who understand what they are doing, who are patriotic enough, and who can be held accountable. One of the biggest risks of doing business in Nigeria is regulatory risk.
Yes, it is the biggest.
So in 2019, I think it was a May 28 article, Forbes magazine described Nigeria as Africa's money-losing machine. And that was a function of the nature of the regulatory risk in the environment that was preventing flows. We're talking about what we can do. If the world sees that Nigeria is serious, just the signaling, there is so much capital around the world today that capital will flow into Nigeria. And these capital are flowing that will take place. And that's how we will solve problems of exchange rates and markets for foreign exchange.
Thank you. Before I let you actually, Mr. Peter, I want to add an additional question that I want you to answer. In addition to the exchange rate, there are so many problems that if you become Nigeria's president, you will inherit on day one. How would you prioritize? What will be your priorities in your first 100 days?
Just to add to what you have said about the exchange rate, you have said, for me, without me, professors have become more sophisticated way of solving it. Mine is simple. Production. Which I said, if you are a producing country and you export, you manage your rates.
Yes.
And it's a very simple thing. Nigeria is a country, 200 million people, living on 923,000 square kilometers of land. Total export in 2021 is 18,900 billion. If you divide it by official rate, it will give you about 47 billion. If you divide it by my own rate, it will give you 650. It will give you about 30 billion. For 200 million people. Vietnam is 100 million. So half of our population living on 331,000 square kilometers of land. So they live on a third of our land and half of our population. Total export last year is $312 billion. So we couldn't do 10% of what 100 million people living on a third of our land is able to do. That is our problem. When we talk about federal, not having true federal, you mentioned about what states, there's no competition. What states are not doing anything. A state like Niger is 76.3 thousand square kilometers of land. 2.5 times the size of Netherlands without water. Netherlands is at 3,000. You remove water, we can 40-something thousand. Their agricultural exports on land that is bordered with winter, everything is $120 billion. Niger State, 2.5 times that land. Good weather, fertile weather, better land and everything did not feed themselves. They couldn't feed in Nigeria. They did not export anything. If they had done only 1% of export of Netherlands, it will be $1.2 billion, which if they exchange it at 650, it's about 750 billion naira, which is about 5 times their budget. Taraba State is the same thing. Taraba State is 54-point-something thousand square kilometers of land. With Mandela on it, they can grow tea, they can grow coffee, they can grow flour on that for that land. Kenya last year exported flour of over $500 million. Ethiopia did tea and coffee of $1.1 billion. Sierra Leone, with all their trouble, did tea of $1.4 billion. Taraba State is still looking to share money from River. If they grow 10% of what is there now, they will make $300 million, which is so. It is not a producing country. And he talked about people coming to invest. Prophets stated that there's so much money. You know the first investors that will come to Nigeria today is money. It's the conducive environment.
Diaspora.
If you secure Nigeria today, have a greater environment, the first investors is you.
Yes. Yes. Diaspora.
Where would you want to invest? That's what happened with Asian countries.
Yes.
Because today, you're working hard here, sending money for people to eat. You want to invest money, give it to example like people in London. I lived in London for 10 years. My neighbor built a factory in India. That factory was employing over 500 people. They were being paid good salary. What they were producing, he was exporting to UK and making more money. That's what you should be doing. You should come to Nigeria as an investor, invest money, export goods to US, and make more money.
Yes.
Today, even if you send money for them to build a house, chop it.
Thank you very much.
What are my priorities? The priorities are very simple. It's number one, to secure the country. Nobody can do anything
If they're afraid of their lives.
in an insecure place.
Exactly.
No matter the profit, because the person has to be alive to come and eat it. So you need to secure the country. You need to, and there's 3 tangible assets you need to deal with head on: security, rule of law, which is the greater environment, and investing in human capital development. If you have these 3, then you can deal with your most critical infrastructure, power. If you put this in place, you start again like the issue of fighting corruption, which I said before. Fighting corruption is not sophisticated. If you, the principal person, is not stealing, your wife and children, and those around you are not stealing, you reduce it by 70%. When I say this, one people will tell me, oh, Peter, I don't know what you're talking. You're this, and I'll say, listen, I've been a governor for 8 years. And I've left office in the past 8 years. 8 years to 9 years. And I've said to anybody, go to Anambra State and show me where their money is missing. I have to steal first before you can add your own. But you cannot do it because the local government chairman, governor, and president approves what is to be stolen. So their own will be inside before anybody can add his own. Otherwise, if you add it, you will catch it. So I say to everybody, I put every money spent in Anambra State. And within the period I was governor, I can say to anybody, as clever as the thieves are, they didn't take up to 5% of what we received. If you go and find that there was even up to 2%, come and stop moving around.
Thank you so much. Professor Tony, I want to ask you this question, and this is a question that, telling you, all the questions we got was one of my favorites, because I'm a professor of agricultural business management here, and I also run a farm with my husband in the US. You've talked about agriculture a lot, about the uncultivated lands in the northern part of Nigeria. But having farmed here for the past 5 years, I now know that land, though very critical, and labor, very essential, are just two of the three components that are required for agriculture to thrive. What will the Peter Obi administration do to address access to capital and other barriers that farmers or aspiring farmers face in Nigeria?
Well, thank you. First of all, this might sound kind of strange, but you got to give agricultural sex education. Right now, most people think it's what dying people, retired people, and people who have nothing else to do go to. It must become a business, and people must be able to get very rich being agriculture. You've got to create markets. You've got to create markets. One of the concepts we've been talking about is we currently take local governments as political units where we again share money to be shared and stolen to people, waiting for what is coming from there. But if local governments were treated as economic development areas, then you take what the agricultural endowments of a particular local government area is. The education of primary education from there is geared towards the endowments, agricultural endowments in that area. And you can, by the time the young person is in primary 6, say if you are in North Central Nigeria, you will know everything to do about sesame seed production and the value chain of sesame seed. And you will get people who are prepared to play in this space to be so empowered by banks that see the profits that will come from them. Look, we talk about infrastructure. Thank God it's from out of here. Thank God that Nigeria was part of the team with the late Clayton Christensen, professor at the Harvard Business School, who wrote the
Innovation
Prosperity Paradox. This infrastructure can come from simply building markets around these endowments in agriculture. And when people find that they are graduating and they can go into farming and expect to be richer than the ones who went into banking, we will have agriculture that's right.
I would like you to chime in, but before you do that, I want to talk about, on a related note, in 2050, Nigeria will overtake 2050, Nigeria will overtake the United States as the third most populous country in the world. And yes, it's true. And Africa will also become the most populated continent with the most youthful population. Now, if you're familiar with Nigeria, ASU is almost knocking 200 days on their strike. A lot of young Nigerians are idle, they are at home, agriculture is not an option. What would you do to address this population bulge and also address tertiary education in Nigeria?
Well, the issue of population, let me tell you, can be asset or it can be liability. Today is liability because you have millions of them at home doing nothing, with all their energy and talent. We once had what we are accusing our young ones doing today. India, China once had that situation. Having a large population, we see from countries, it's not a liability, it's an asset. If you train them, if you invest in them, and they're productive, they become an asset. And all you need to do is to train them. You just ask for access to or funding for farmers, access to this. That's what people ask. Where do they get the one they steal? It's self-funding. I tell people today, the richest state in America is not Texas with all their oil. It's California. And it's agricultural knowledge. We have a youthful population with a lot of talent. The world is driven by knowledge today. ICT knowledge. You can invest in that. The world has shortage of workers in that direction. You invest in sports today, then entertainment, then every job. If you can turn this liability you are looking at into assets, I will be a win-win for everybody. Jamaica have used sports, small as they are, to solve criminality. There's so many talented sports men and women in Nigeria. Nobody cares about them. The money you use to train them is what is being stolen. There's so many talents that can run all the ICT companies all over the world. They're not trained. You're not investing in human capital, which everybody knows that the more you invest in human capital, the better your development. For every $1 you put in human capital, you can reap as much as $10. And we are today number 168 over 172. So you can. Even what we are talking about, diaspora remittances. Why are they remitting it? Is it not the educated one? So even if we educate them and they support them, you double the remittances. So there's a win-win if you get it well. In Philippines, they have a ministry where they actually regulate export of people to go and do work in different countries. We can do that. We are telling the world has shown in 2030 there will be shortage of technology workers, about 20 million. There will be shortage of about 10 million nurses and midwives. This is time we should be creating, training them, waiting ready for. So we can double this remittances we are talking can be doubled where Nigeria is all over the place. That's why remittances 60 billion. Export, we won't be talking about this exchange.
Thank you very much. Professor Tommy, I'd like you to chime in on the tertiary education ASU strike because I know that you are.
The tertiary strike, no, sorry. It is, let me tell you, when Prof might tell you, but I can tell you, there's no reason why a university have been involved in ASU strike. And what they're demanding is not what we cannot afford. What is even worse, this was an agreement that was agreed in 2009. Until today, government have not fulfilled any of that agreement. How can government sign something 11 years after?
And doesn't do it.
And they're still there. Prof can say, because at times when it comes to government, I keep quiet.
so very much. And I think it's an appropriate time to make a point. Mr. Peter Obi has repeatedly talked about corruption and all these problems. But you see, the real huge problem from that is that it blinds people to how purpose gives way to power. We have here with us today the Labour candidate for governor of Delta State, Dikin Bell. And one of the conversations that we have been having deals with the heart of this kind. I'll give you a very true illustration of this. Many years ago, ExxonMobil as a company wanted to build a school of some significant worth, a couple 100 million, in Delta State as a gift to give to the government. But part of the process required that the government write a letter, a simple letter. If you build this school and gift us with it, we will accept it and run. ExxonMobil for 2-3 years was trying to get that simple letter from the Delta State government, and they could not. So one of the executives said to me, look, we are from Delta. This cannot possibly be happening. I said to him, no, it's not possible. You want to give somebody a gift? Hundreds of millions in a school. That what we need more than schools. And he said, please, can you help us? So I called the governor. And the governor said, how can? No, of course. I said, okay, tomorrow, please, help me get write this letter. 3 weeks later, no letter. I called the governor again. He said, they never sent me this. I said, they never sent
It's not funny, you know.
I hadn't received the letter. So I said, okay, maybe the governor is too busy. Let me call the deputy governor, who is my friend, who's a university professor. So I called him. I said, see you. He said, how can? When are you coming to Asaba? I said, I can come tomorrow. He said, okay, come. He came to Asaba. We sat in his house, we ate nice dinner. Oh, we talked about this, how can? Look at the importance of education. We spoke all the grammar about education.
Try.
So he said, tomorrow morning, let's meet in my office and sort this thing once more. Tomorrow, following morning, I was in his office. He summoned the Commissioner for Education. 1 days later, we spoke all the grammar. She knew about the whole thing. So I thought, okay, before I leave here today, they'll give me this letter. Look, 1 year later, that letter is written. And it was so, I just couldn't figure it out. And somebody said to me, oh boy, yourself. I said, what do you mean, you? He said, tell them you give them 500 million to build the school. They will take it. You see, people, we have to realize what has happened to our country. There's been a collapse of culture. That collapse of culture gets in the way of prioritizing what matters. I mean, look at tertiary education. We're talking about universities in a country, the main artery of the university system being shut down for 6 months. And it does not seem to matter to public officials. I mean, where in the normal world would such a thing happen? And then we're told that one auditor general, somehow stole the first 90 billion, then another 80 billion. How much is this is asking? One man has taken several times what ASU has been begging to use to fix the entire university system. And it's okay, people are carrying on as if things are normal. Things are not normal. We're dealing with a national tragedy, a huge crisis that has to take all of us becoming involved. I was interviewed by one of the TV channels. I said, this is a revolution. We must take back our country. Because those
I still have pages of questions, but the time is on our friend, and there's another event tonight that we want to make sure starts early. So I'm just going to give both of you 30 seconds to wrap up, and I'd like you to talk about how you plan to reduce the cost of governance in Nigeria. 30 seconds.
Okay. Now, this is really something that I've actually done some work on from years back. I don't know what's on that. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, as finance minister, tried to have a human capital audit of the government. He found that 70% of ministries don't even know what the ministry is supposed to be doing. They don't have the capacity to do what that ministry is set up to do. Now, are you going to sack them? Outrage, this, okay, simple. No, you will sack them.
We train them.
But what do you know how to do? You know how to do this. You will go to the local government to go and do that. If you don't want to go to local government, you can leave the service. Here is an entrepreneurship scheme that will give you support to start a business around your area of capacity. Because we reduce this to you're going to get rid of people and all of that. But the capacity to do the work that's needed does not exist in most of the government agencies. And, how do we upgrade their skills? How do we ensure that leadership makes them focus on some purpose so that they can create value? Unless we can do that, we are not going to. And of course, because they don't know what they are doing, most of them, they have time to plot how to cheat this game system. So, first thing we must do is do a proper human capital audit of government. And then we will get the appropriate skilling to take place so that people who are in positions can deliver value. Then incentives. How do you use incentives to make people actually produce? And we found out in places when they tried, under President Obasanjo, a few of those were put in place, they did work, but in other cases, they were again abused. But we have to run government like a business. Until we can run government like a business, we're going to be in very serious trouble. Then you all over the place, getting in the way of those who want to work. That's the more dangerous part of it than the fact that they are there and the salaries for doing nothing.
And snakes consuming the money. Mr. Peter,
thank you. You get back 3 minutes. So you give me one. Well, let me, this place, this is my concluding one. I need to stand up and thank these people because they've been very, very wonderful this time. Let me tell you, on the area of consequence of governance, it's an area where I don't need to tell you more. Everywhere I go, I've told them that my head of service wrote an article. Ms. Ngozi Melifonwu, she's about to publish it, I said no, where she said stinginess as a development strategy. Everybody that is here knows that as governor, I govern one of the most difficult states in Nigeria. Everybody knows that no elite in Anambra State supports me. At least I go to Abuja, I go to places where they will tell me nobody is happy with you. Every day, I get that nobody is happy with you. The only thing consolation I have is that as I tell them I never promised anybody happiness. They know where to find happiness. I'm also saying it to you people. If I become president tomorrow, if I become president tomorrow, you will not be happy. You will not be happy. And I know that. Because there won't be anything for free. Because you don't get anything free here. In fact, when I was coming here, Prof is my senior brother, so I always listen to him. There's quite a number of them, but Prof is the leader of all the gang leaders. I like listening to them. When I was coming here, Prof told me there's something you say often people don't like. I said, Prof, what is it? He said, whatever you say that you cut this one, you stop office of First Lady. I said, Prof, everybody knows that when I was governor, I had more women working for me than men. My chief of staff, everybody knows, woman, my permanent secretary, my commissioner for finance,
Deputy Governor,
commissioner for education, commissioner for local government, head of service, all these people were women. However, that when I became governor, I found out that the office of governor had more, was taking up to about 30% or thereabouts of our budget. For education wasn't even receiving 10%. So I said, office of government, 5%. And when we started cutting costs, I found out we have all the waste. That included office of First Lady. And I said, what are you people doing? My wife never contested the election. You go and buy a convoy of 20 vehicles for somebody nobody voted for, and nothing to do with you, and it's all around creating additional confusion.
including slapping. including slapping.
I'm very close. Everybody knows me knows I'm close to my wife. We're very, very close. Till today, I'm sleeping in the same place, but hey, I'm just one running around now. We have just here. Tomorrow, the German chancellor came to Nigeria in Wisconsin, a country of 3.8 trillion economy. The British Prime Minister came to Nigeria, British Airways, a country of 3.1 trillion dollars. Then
We have a first one.
once we visit them, he goes on
Presidential jet.
if you see the wife of British Prime Minister, or the wife, if you go around here and see the wife of governor in this state, in this country, you wouldn't even know they exist. You wouldn't even know anything. Suddenly you come to our place. For somebody who is jobless, dresses like a husband, those sort of things. On public money. And when you say people say, no, I said, no. You have to stop this. The wife flies private jets. Let me tell you how bad it is. From Enugu to Abuja on a private jet will cost you $10,000.
Yes.
APs from Enugu to Abuja is 50,000. Tell me how somebody can spend 7 million naira, call it 5 million naira for something you can pay 50,000. I'm sorry that I can't take you back and talk about all this. Valentine was good. See, he's a fantastic, whether anybody likes it or not, he's one young man I will support. I supported him yesterday. I'll support him today. I'll support him tomorrow. When I was governor, he was managing director and president of Transcorp Hotel. And he said, my governor, I cannot be running Transcorp Hotel and you're not staying in my hotel. And I said, we can't afford it. And I said to him, look at the hotel where I'm staying. How much they charge me so I can sleep. If I come to your home, what you charge, I'll be awake. Because it's true. Where I stay, I pay 50,000, but it's only 250. You stole my money. I can go on and tell you about cost of governance. And cost of governance is unacceptable anywhere in the world. Never. And it has to be shut down. Public people spending public money must spend it in a manner that is accepted. Anambra State did not have a lodge in Abuja. My predecessor, he bought it for $1 billion and shut it down. I told them that we don't have Anambra State in Abuja. I shut down building of presidential lodge in Oka. I said the president doesn't live in Oka. So why are we going to keep a house for him? Obasanjo said he wanted to come to Anambra State. And I went to him and said, you're president. You can come today and go today. Why are you going to sleep? And he insisted he must sleep in Oka for 3 days. I went to sleep. Everybody knew. I said, listen, sir, okay, no problem. I have a place I sleep. In my place, big man is coming to your house. You vacate the house. I'll go away. You stay there, you go and come back. And that was what happened. I left my lunch. He stayed there for 3 days. And I came back. We would have built another place for $1 billion and keep it and run it. It is unacceptable. We must be able to show where we're coming from. There's nothing to show. If I come here now and go and stay in the best hotel and everything, and I tell you, it doesn't make any difference to you. No. You actually, the more you even do that, the more they laugh at you and think, what is this man trying to prove? So it is important that we get cost of governance in place and people behave. You know, we have billionaires here, they celebrate, but not people in government. Any country where people in government are richer than business people is collapsed. That is your country. 2023, my dear people, please join this advocacy. They are trying now to use the resources they've stolen to keep going. Oh. We will resist.
Yes. Yes.
So tomorrow, even if it's those people you send money to, tell them that that thing you're sending they can end if they do the right thing. That's the advocacy. If you need be, invest $1, $2 into it. We won't stop this. And remember, in conclusion, when I win, don't go away. No, don't go away. Because what happens in Nigeria is that Peter is here preaching. Everybody believes him. He wins. Instead of doing what everything is saying, he's not saying what he saw when he went in. He's not seeing anything, but seeing everything now. So everything will now we know where we're going. Then you start, Peter now comes in here. Instead of you telling him what is happening, you start calling him His Excellency. People will start showing him where to buy new house. His wife, who didn't come before, will now come wearing all sorts of things. No. This is time to tell Peter, when you came, you said you're going to move power from 4,000 to 10. How many has he increased? 2 or 3. So we know that Peter is in the right direction.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, everyone. My name is Captain. On behalf of the organizing committee, we come to the end of this session. We don't have a lot of time to take a lot of pictures, so we want to take a group picture. We have a professional cameraman and His Excellency, Presidential Candidate, the Prof. And DCO, please. Va, please. Va, can you come up? So, the cameraman, please. Please wait, we're going to take a group picture, please.